Ahead of the Olympics, the Tour de France is entering its final week. And for once, the world's biggest road race is being dominated by British riders and a British team. I'm now joined by Gauthier Villars in Paris and Paul Hannon here in London, who have been following the race. Paul, it's been a long time since we had any British success at the Tour de France.
Sure.
Why suddenly this year?
Okay, well, a bit of history to start with. British road cycling has been was inhibited for a very long time. From about 1890 until the 1950s, it was banned. You couldn't hold cycling races on the roads. People were afraid that they'd scare the horses or stuff like that.
Right.
So Britain probably should have been a major cycling nation way before now, but it just took 60 or 70 years to get started properly.
That's fascinating.
A lot of the success now is based on the success of the track team. When Britons weren't allowed to cycle outdoors, they went indoors to the velodromes. They've always had a good tradition on the track. A lot of the cyclists we're seeing right now have learned their trade there under the guidance of a very successful coach, David Brailsford, who's brought a very modern sort of methods of physical conditioning, diet, etc. to the event.
Right, interesting. David, Bradley Wiggins is wearing the yellow jersey, which obviously signifies the race leader, but I understand he's not that popular in France.
Well, the French have had a mixed feeling about Bradley and Wiggins, and that's mainly because now it's almost inevitable. You have almost inevitable suspicion associated with any rider, British or not, any rider who dominates the Tour de France, which is the world's most grueling cycling race, in recent days, however, the French have discovered a number of things about Wiggins, and so his popularity has been rising a lot. And they've discovered that he was born in Belgium, which is a highly respected heartland of cycling.
Yeah.
They've also noticed that he cycled for 3 French teams before becoming the leader of the Sky team.
Right.
And also they've noticed that he speaks very good French.
Now, I mean, yesterday we saw the race being disrupted because 30 riders got punctures after someone threw tacks on the road. And I think Wiggins then stopped the peloton or slowed it down to allow those riders to catch back up. I mean, that must have helped him as well.
Yes, exactly. He sort of slowed down, almost neutralized the race to make sure Cadel Evans, who's this big rival from Australia, who suffered 3 punctures, could catch up. And that's exactly the type of chivalresque behavior that will help him win over the French and become popular in France. Because maybe you remember that Lance Armstrong, who won the Tour de France 7 times, was never so popular in France, exactly because he was so obsessed with winning and not paying that much attention to fair play and winning with style.
Yeah. Okay, good. Now, Paul, you've noticed a trend in the last 2 races where time trials have become, the deciding factor. They're not the most interesting part of the race. So what can the Tour do to change that?
Well, I mean, what the Tour is trying to do is vary it as a contest. I mean, we had a long period where being a very good climber, winning on the climbing stages was the absolute key, and that decided things.
Yeah.
So obviously there are a lot of cyclists out there who aren't strong in that area. So last year and more this year, they've decided to moderate it slightly and introduce key time trials, and this is one of the factors that favours Bradley Wiggins. That's sort of his background, it's his speciality, he's probably the best at it in the world right now. I think next year they will probably vary it again, and we'll go back to sort of finishes that end on mountains.
Right, yeah, okay. Now, is Wiggins, only a few days left, can Wiggins hold on all the way to the Champs-Élysées?
We'll find out on Wednesday. On Wednesday they go to the Pyrenees again, and it's a very tough day. 4 big climbs. One of them, the Col de Tourmalet, is the big daddy of bad climbing experiences for any cyclist. If he can get through that, he's got a very good chance, because the penultimate stage is a time trial.
Okay.
The final day, nobody really tries to knock the yellow jersey out of position. So if he's close when he goes into the time trial, he's got a good chance because he can make up a minute, maybe 2 minutes on his closest rivals. But Wednesday, you have to expect that Vincenzo Nibali, amongst others, Italian who's very good at climbing, will attack, and they'll have to keep on attacking because that's really their last big chance to knock Wiggins out. But so far, Wiggins' team, very, very strong Sky Riders, have protected him and helped him compensate for some of his deficiencies. He's not a very good sprinter on the mountain. He doesn't react very quickly to an attack. They've helped him sort of claw his way back each time. So, yeah, Wednesday will tell. My feeling is he'll do it.
He'll do it. Right, Paul, thank you very much. David, thank you very much for joining me from Paris.